Today we gather in a special way to hail Christ our King, the universal leader of humanity. He came as King, and his kingship was veiled. For as John tells us in his first chapter of the Gospel, that he came among his own, and his own did not know him. This did not deprive him of being king. He remains king and king, who comes in many ways and reaches out to all people to save in space and time. He brings care, he brings concern, and he brings attention and supplies provisions. Ezekiel has put us in context of who this king is by giving us an image of a shepherd who steps in to make things better for Israel. At the time of Ezekiel, the temple priest, Israel was in exile. He had seen what had happened to his people when the Babylonians invaded them. He saw the violence. He saw the tearing down of the wall of Jerusalem. He also looked at how the temple was burned down. He saw people fleeing, and those who could not make long journeys hid in mountains. Some fled and returned to Egypt, which was a return to slavery. And those who remained in Jerusalem were the weak ones and the vine dressers. To make things worse, even those who remained in the ruins of Jerusalem, there came up two classes. Those who were hardworking took advantage of the poor, the strengthless. So there came a class of poor and the rich. The poor were pitilessly exploited, and the rich shrewdly maneuvered and got money at the expense of the poor. So there was injustice. The whole situation was a disaster. So when God sends Ezekiel to give a message you have heard today, God is responding to a situation of great need. And God steps in as king and king. He comes as king because he's totally related to his people, a people of his own, a people named after him, a people he had shown a special love, a people under his care and protection. So as king, God is going to send rescue. This time, he is not sending human beings, because he knew what human beings did to the people. The violence of the Babylonians made things bad. And secondly, the poor leadership of the leaders in Israel made things worse. So God is now taking over. And as king, he's coming as king to lead his people out of this bad situation, which is very pathetic. And he comes to draw people out of ruins, a culture of ruins breeds bad things. So this king is concerned about the well-being of his people. And as he begins mission, he says, I shall gather you again. I shall seek you out. I shall rescue you from all places. I shall search for you and make you lie down to rest. And you shall be my people. These are words of God, expressing his resolve to make things better, because he had seen the former shepherds did not do a good job. They did not strengthen the weak. They did not bind the crippled. They did not watch over the strong ones, and they did not feed them on justice. So when Jesus comes, he comes with a better solution to this situation. Although he came under hidden ways, he still remained the king. And when he preached, when he healed, when he drew people around himself, he was exactly doing the mission of that shepherd. He preached to make people wise in God's ways. He sat among people, even among sinners, to gather them around God. He raised the dead back to life. He welcomed the crippled and opened the door for the sheepfold. And he says, I am the door of the sheepfold. I am the way that leads to the Father. I am the truth that sets free. This is the leader who came with an answer to the pathetic situation of Israel. He went even to the extent of dying, and this is what St. Paul has told us in the second reading. He died for the sake of his sheep. And he says, I'm the good shepherd. I know mine, and mine know me. And I lay down my life freely for my sheep. This is the good shepherd that Israel needed. So when he comes and initiates all this, he hands over the mission to the apostles and the disciples. Meaning what? He's inviting them to enter into his kingship, to lead people to greater heights of freedom, to lead people to greater levels of wisdom, so that they can live life meaningfully. And this is what we are called to do in the Gospel of Matthew today. We are family of God, Christ the King community. We are being made sharers in a new way today in the kingship of Christ. Christ would like each member of this parish community to reign with him as he initiates a new era of love, of care, of concern, of solidarity, of brotherhood, and of fellowship. This is the kingship that the King is renewing in the heart of every one of us as family of Christ the King. He would like us to take his kingship in space and time, beginning from our families, in the neighborhood, in our places of work, as parish community, and mention any other place. Christ must reign. And how does Christ reign? He reigns when we feed the hungry. And social outreach ministry is very good here in that area. But there are many other hungers. People are hungering for holiness, relationship, certainty, attention, trust, honesty, righteousness, protection, and comfort in sorrow. All these are hungers that we need to respond to in our ministry of kingship with Christ. We have to address the needs of thirst. People are thirsting for meaning of life, in life, for validation, companionship, for healing, self-worth, loving kindness, better self-image, understanding, friendship, and reassurance. All these are thirsts that the society presents to us. So all of us who are in kinship with Christ have to find an answer. We have to provide a better solution to these situations. There are people in prison, in cells, who are incarcerated. Yet more, there are people who are imprisoned by addictions. Some people are imprisoned by what people think about them. And some people are imprisoned by rejection. These are the areas we have to respond to as kings of Jesus. We have to give clothing, material clothing. Winter is on. There are people who are literally suffering under the cold. Recently, there was a car parked in our parking lot here. I drew close to it, but not so close. But I could see a heap of stuff inside. I wondered what it was carrying exactly, but they seemed to be house utilities. And I guessed that maybe someone is sleeping in that car. It spent a whole night here and it was taken away, I think, Friday afternoon. So we have to give clothing to those who are suffering under the cold, but still, there are other forms of nakedness. People have been stripped of their dignity, and people have been stripped because of the effects of gossip. These nakednesses have to be addressed. Strangers need to be protected by offering them acceptance. Some are avoided. Some are seen as burdens. Some people are looked at as worthless. Some are seen by society as a liability. Some are homeless. Some are name-called. Others are voiceless. Many are ignored, and some are unappreciated. All these are forms of being strangers in a community where there should be brotherhood. So the Lord, as King and King, is inviting us to get fully involved in this mission. He has said, "You did it to me." Christ is here and now, in the poor, in the hungry, in the stranger. You did it to me. And it is by the way we address the needs of the one who is crossing your path that we shall be able to face the King without fear and trembling. Therefore, he's inviting us to convert power, to convert wealth, and order it toward mercy. He's inviting us to let truth triumph over might. He's calling us to clean up our concepts of rule, authority, and power. May God help us to answer his call generously, and with him as King and King, reign in the world to make this earth a better place to live in. The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.